Welcome and thank you for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. Evidently, you're unaware. I am your host, Andrea, also known as the Successful Diva. And when we're here together, I am here to elevate your awareness. It is no longer safe. And I hope by now you all agree it is no longer safe to live in ignorance. We have much going on in the world. And my goal is to bring that to the forefront, a topic, an issue, a circumstance, or people who impact our lives, and so that we can make better informed decisions when we are going about our day, our week, and in particular, when it is time to vote for individuals who are promising to represent our best interests. And so, here we are today. Let's get smarter. We are going to talk about something that's kind of like the quiet part out loud. At least I'm going to bring the quiet part out loud. It probably is something that either you thought about, maybe it's come up in casual conversation, and you may be wondering, and I'm going to bring that all into focus here during this episode. So let's do it. This particular acronym, DEI, what is it? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or maybe I should say, what was it? DEI is a framework designed to foster fair treatment, full participation, and representation of all people, particularly marginalized groups within organizations and society. Diversity, the D in DEI, is the presence of differences within a setting, including race, gender, sexual orientation, disability, age. The E, equity, the process of ensuring that processes and programs are impartial, fair, and provide equal possible outcomes for every individual. Inclusion, the I, creating environments where an individual or group feels welcomed and respected and supported and valued. And so you may be thinking, well, Andrea, I've heard the term before. It sounds a little catchy. You've heard there's a lot of talk around it, particularly in this particular current administration. But let me share with you, while the core focus of DEI has shifted over time, really, diversity, equity, and inclusion can be traced back to the 60s, specifically with Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which outlawed employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. 2020 saw a racial reckoning with DEI after the murder of George Floyd. You may recall corporations began pledging billions, I mean billions with a B, to racial justice causes. And all those studies have shown that employees at companies with DEI teams consistently report higher satisfaction, especially in culture, values, and workplace diversity. The momentum behind DEI teams, unfortunately, did not last. And so what does that mean? That means that the onset of this current administration, the 34 count convicted felons' second term, they began dismantling DEI programs almost immediately. In fact, it was an explicit priority. They claim that merit-based policies are more effective than DEI. So think about that statement and compare it with this entire administration. I want you to think about it. Think about that statement. Merit-based policies are more effective than DEI. From the cabinet picks to the direct hires, I could be mistaken. But the only merit-based criteria that I see going on currently is the pledge of loyalty to a criminal enterprise. And that's the quiet part out loud. That's the only merit I see. There is no other earnings other than just pledging your loyalty to something that is criminal in nature. So let's bring more quietness out into the open. Here's the question. If DEI is so damaging, counterproductive, and even pernicious, why doesn't the current administration, companies, colleges, athletic organizations, and the like, why don't they stop recruiting and drafting talent that's typically represented by people of color or people that have other non-white ethnicities? Why is that? Do you wonder? If DEI is so destructive, why is it that in NCAA Division I men's basketball, 44 to 52% of the players are Black? Players of color goes up to 77% when including other minority groups. Why is it that NBA men's basketball, 70% of the players are Black? That percentage goes up to 83% when you include minority groups, other minority groups. This is data as of 2022, 2023. Another picture. Why is it that NCAA D1 football, 70% of those players that play D1 football are Black? Players of color, that percentage goes up to 83% in college Division I football when you include other minority groups. Here's another, the NFL. 54% of the NFL players are Black. And when you add in other minority groups, it inches up to 56%. Well over half of the NFL players are Black. But DEI is damaging. It's counterproductive. We shouldn't have programs and the like, or platforms for which diversity, equity, and inclusion is placed on the forefront. So why is it that they keep recruiting people of color? Let's move on to coaches. 20 to 28% of the NCAA Division I men's basketball coaches, 20 to 28% of them are Black. 50% of the NBA basketball coaches are Black. And this is NCAA data as of 25-26, the year 2025-26. NBA data as of the year 22 and 23. Then we have coaches in football. Smaller percentage, 10 to 12% of D1 men's football coaches are Black. 9% of the NFL head coaches are Black, only 9%. And the reason I'm going from players to coaches is I want you, my audience, to understand that DEI has a place that makes culture and values and productivity expand and be it is proven to be healthy to have diversity, equity, inclusion. But yet, as we move into the ranks of leadership, the people that sit around the table, the people that actually make the decisions, less and less of DEI is present. And so here we are. This is the one that is shocking as I was doing the research, but it was shocking for me to even be able to speak about it out loud here in this episode. Owners, 0% of the NFL or NBA, 0% of the owners, principal owners, are Black. 0. Only a small number of individuals hold minority stakes, such as Grant Hill has a minority stake in the Atlanta Hawks, and Dwayne Wade has a minority stake in the Utah Jazz. But the NFL and NBA have 0 principal, meaning majority, principal owners. 0% of them are Black. So let's talk about a little bit more quiet parts out loud. Some people are bold enough to say the quiet parts out loud. At least some of them may mistakenly do it or they intentionally do it. But either way, sometimes the quiet part slips out in a public manner. And I think that has been more and more evident because there has been given a permission, literally a permission slip by the current administration to say and do what it is you'd like to say and do, and to execute it to the fullest. So the biggest difference now is that bigotry, racism, and blatant displays, as I just mentioned, were given permission. And I will say the 34 count convicted felon, not the problem, and certainly not, the person who introduced this problem. He just was literally kind of the use of, or the symptom of what has been hidden underground, or at least until we started talking about it out loud. He just became that face of it. And it did give permission to others to say and do. But let me just bring it to you and bring you, some of you maybe young enough like me, to remember when this happened. And I want you to take a look at this Fox News host. Her name is Laura Ingraham. And let me refresh your memory. Laura Ingraham told LeBron James to shut up and dribble in February 2018. Why? Because LeBron James discussed politics and the White House and spoke out about race relations in America. Laura argued that athletes should not offer political advice. This type of behavior has been given permission in today's environment, where those with perceived power believe people of color should not weigh in on matters of world order and democracy. DEI, here it is good enough when individuals are being used as entertainment on a football field or a basketball court, but DEI has no place in the boardroom, according to some. I'm going to say that again so that you hear it. DEI seems to be good enough when individuals are being used as entertainment or on a football field, a basketball court, but DEI has no place in the boardroom. Why? Because as entertainment, people of color are income generators. And although LeBron James, in his own right, has earned millions, a millionaire in his own right, he's using his skill as a basketball player. He's done great work in doing community work and pouring back in. The owners, the people who own the team, the owners' income arrives from the appreciating value of the team. And so when you think about what's happening, LeBron James has aged. And so that means to them, he's kind of depreciated in value. That is what it is. No shame about it. The older you get, there are some things you just can't do that you used to be able to do at age 22. But the team's value has appreciated in value. And that's, due to players like him and others who have come about and made that team. And that's just one team in particular. There are others, but let's be clear. When it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, most companies who embrace it, or persons who embrace it, are better off by doing so. And let me just close on this fact when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the appreciation of things and value going up or down. For stats' sake, here's one for you. The Lakers' profit was $199 million in 2023-2024. That season, 23 to 24, $199 million in profit. As of mid-2025, the market value for the Lakers was approximately $10 billion with a B. Let that marinate for a minute in terms of diversity, equity. And I'm not certainly saying, and inclusion, I'm not certainly saying that if there were no Black people there or no other groups of ethnicity groups were there playing in these sports, that they still wouldn't be worth $10 billion. But what I am saying is out loud, if it is so bad, why are we still wanting to bring them into those arenas and yet not on jobs and not on platforms where decisions are made, or not in our country where they've added value more so than even some of the citizens that live here? That's what I'm going to say out loud. Thank you for tuning into this episode of this podcast. Evidently, you're unaware. I hope that you're more aware with today's statistics and the things that you shared. If you should have comments, please do. Don't hesitate. Reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you. Here is my contact information, Andrea at strategicblueprint.info. Inbox me. Certainly, if you've not subscribed or you are not yet a frequent viewer, please do subscribe. You will help expand the reach of this content on YouTube at Evidently You're Unaware. Follow me on Blue Sky at thesuccessfuldiva.bsky.social and on my TikTok handle at EYU Podcast. Thank you so much, and thank you for becoming more aware.